Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English Learning Podcast. I'm Linda, and I'm here with my co-host, Leo.
Hi, everyone. Today, we're diving into a topic that's super important for all of us: time management. Whether you're a student, a worker, or just trying to organize your life better, this episode is for you.
That's right, Leo. Time management is something we all need to master if we want to be successful. But what exactly is time management?
Good question, Linda. Time management is all about planning how you spend your time. It's making sure you have enough time to do the things that are most important to you.
Yes, and it's not just about being busy. It's about being productive and using your time in the best way possible. But it's not always easy, is it?
No, it's not. Sometimes we have so many things to do that we don't know where to start. Or we spend too much time on things that don't really matter. That's why learning to manage our time is so important.
Exactly, Leo. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about some simple tips and tricks to help you manage your time better. We'll focus on understanding how you spend your time, setting goals, and creating a schedule.
That sounds great, Linda. Let's start with the first tip: understanding how you spend your time.
This is the foundation of time management. You can't manage your time well if you don't know where it's going. So, one of the best ways to start is by tracking your time.
Tracking your time means writing down what you do every day. You can do this with a notebook, a calendar, or even an app on your phone. Just write down what you do and how long it takes. Do this for a few days or even a week.
When you track your time, you might be surprised at what you find. Maybe you spend more time on social media than you thought, or maybe you're spending too much time watching TV.
And that's okay. The goal is not to feel bad, but to understand where your time is going. Once you know that, you can start to make changes.
Exactly. Once you've tracked your time, the next step is to ask yourself some questions. Are you spending time on things that are important to you? Are you wasting time on things that don't really matter?
These questions can help you see where you might need to make changes. For example, if you're spending too much time on social media, maybe you can cut back and use that time for something more productive, like studying or exercising.
That's a great point, Leo. And remember, it's not about being perfect. We all waste time sometimes. The goal is to find a balance and make sure you're using your time in a way that helps you reach your goals.
Speaking of goals, that brings us to our next topic, and we have a lot to say about it.
Yes, we have so much more to cover, so be sure, and we will talk more about some tips on how to manage your time better. We'll talk about setting smart goals, prioritizing tasks, and more.
Yes, and we talked about the importance of understanding how you spend your time. And now we're going to dive deeper into setting goals, one of the most important aspects of time management. But Linda, why are goals so important for managing our time?
Great question, Leo. Goals give us direction. Without goals, it's easy to waste time on things that don't matter. But when you have clear goals, you know where you're going, and you can make sure your time is spent on things that help you get there.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like when you're on a road trip. If you don't know where you're going, you might drive around in circles. But if you have a destination in mind, you can plan the best route and get there faster.
Exactly, Leo. Goals are your destination, and time management is your roadmap. So, let's talk about how to set good goals. One of the best ways to do this is by using something called SMART goals.
SMART goals. I've heard of these, but what does SMART stand for?
SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break it down.
Sounds good. Let's start with specific. What does it mean to have a specific goal?
A specific goal is clear and detailed. It's not vague. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be better at English," you could say, "I want to improve my English speaking skills by practicing for 30 minutes every day."
That's a big difference. The first goal is so general that it's hard to know where to start. But the second goal is clear and tells you exactly what you need to do.
Exactly. The more specific your goal, the easier it is to create a plan to achieve it. Now, let's move on to measurable. This means you should be able to track your progress.
Right, so using your example, you could measure your progress by checking how many days you practiced your speaking skills for 30 minutes. You can see your improvement over time.
Yes, when a goal is measurable, you can see if you're getting closer to it. It helps you stay motivated because you can see the progress you're making. The third part of SMART goals is achievable.
Achievable means your goal should be realistic, right? Like, you shouldn't set a goal to learn English fluently in 1 week because that's just not possible.
Exactly, Leo. Your goal should be challenging but possible. If it's too easy, you won't grow, but if it's too hard, you might get discouraged and give up. So, finding the right balance is key.
That makes sense. The next part is relevant. What does that mean in the context of goals?
Relevant means your goal should be important to you and aligned with your bigger life plans. If a goal doesn't matter to you, it's hard to stay motivated. For example, if your dream is to travel the world, learning English is relevant because it will help you communicate in many countries.
I see. So, your goals should match what you really want in life. That way, you're more likely to stick with them.
Exactly. And finally, we have time-bound. This means your goal should have a deadline or a time frame. Without a deadline, it's easy to keep putting things off.
Right, like if you say, I want to improve my English someday, that doesn't push you to take action. But if you say, I want to improve my English speaking skills by the end of this month, you have a clear timeline.
Yes, a deadline creates a sense of urgency and helps you stay focused. It also allows you to break your goal down into smaller steps and plan when you'll complete each one.
So, to sum up, a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Setting goals this way gives you a clear path to follow and helps you make the most of your time.
That's right, Leo. But once you've set your SMART goals, the next step is to prioritize them. Not all goals are created equal. Some are more important or urgent than others, and that's where prioritization comes in.
Prioritizing your goals means deciding which ones to focus on first, right?
Exactly. It's about figuring out what needs your attention now and what can wait. A great tool for this is the Eisenhower matrix. It helps you sort your tasks into 4 categories based on their importance and urgency.
The Eisenhower matrix, that sounds interesting. How does it work?
The Eisenhower matrix has 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is for tasks that are both urgent and important. These are your top priorities, things you need to do right away.
So, for example, if you have an exam tomorrow, studying for that exam would be urgent and important.
Exactly. The second quadrant is for tasks that are important but not urgent. These are things that matter to you, but they don't have to be done right away. However, these tasks are still crucial because they help you achieve your long-term goals.
Right, like practicing English every day. It's important for your long-term goal of becoming fluent, but it might not feel urgent if there's no immediate deadline.
Yes, and that's why this quadrant is so important. It's easy to put off these tasks because they're not urgent, but if you do them regularly, they'll have a big impact on your life.
Got it. So, what about the third quadrant?
The third quadrant is for tasks that are urgent but not important. These are things that might seem pressing, but they don't actually contribute to your long-term goals. For example, answering a phone call that could wait or responding to a non-urgent email.
So, these are the tasks that can be distractions. They feel like they need your attention, but they're not really helping you achieve your goals.
Exactly, Leo. And finally, the fourth quadrant is for tasks that are neither urgent nor important. These are things that don't really need to be done at all, or they can be done when you have extra time.
Like scrolling through social media for hours or watching TV shows that you're not really interested in.
Yes, those are perfect examples. These tasks are usually time wasters. It's fine to relax and enjoy some downtime, but if you spend too much time in this quadrant, it can take away from the time you need for more important things.
That makes a lot of sense. The Eisenhower matrix sounds like a great way to stay focused on what really matters.
It really is, Leo. By sorting your tasks into these four categories, you can see where your time should go, and it helps you make better decisions about what to do next.
This is really helpful, Linda, but what if someone has too many tasks in the first quadrant, urgent and important? How can they manage their time then?
That's a great question, Leo. When you have a lot of urgent and important tasks, it's important to stay calm and organized. One thing you can do is break down each task into smaller steps and tackle them one at a time. This can make even big tasks feel more manageable.
So, if you have a big project due tomorrow, instead of getting overwhelmed, you could break it down into smaller parts like researching, outlining, and writing.
Exactly. And don't forget to take breaks. When you're really busy, it's easy to get stressed out. Taking short breaks can help you recharge and stay focused.
That's true. I know when I'm working on something urgent, I sometimes forget to take breaks, and then I end up feeling exhausted.
It happens to all of us, Leo. That's why it's important to remember that taking care of yourself is also part of good time management. You'll actually get more done if you give yourself time to rest and recharge.
That's a good reminder, Linda. So, to sum up, we talked about setting smart goals and how to prioritize them using the Eisenhower matrix. And we also discussed what to do if you have too many urgent tasks.
That's right. And we'll talk about creating a schedule, dealing with procrastination, and tips for staying on track with your goals. We've got lots more to cover.
Yes, and now we're going to wrap things up by talking about creating a schedule, dealing with procrastination, and some tips for staying on track.
That's right, Leo. Creating a schedule is one of the most important parts of managing your time effectively. A good schedule helps you plan your day and ensure that you're working on the right tasks at the right times.
Exactly. So, how do you start creating a schedule?
First, you need to decide what kind of schedule works best for you. Some people prefer a daily schedule where they plan each day in detail. Others might prefer a weekly schedule where they outline their tasks for the whole week.
I've tried both, and I've found that a weekly schedule works better for me. It gives me a big picture view of what I need to do, but I also break down daily tasks to stay organized.
That's a great approach, Leo. When creating your schedule, start by listing all the tasks you need to complete. This includes both urgent tasks and long-term goals.
And don't forget to include breaks and leisure time. It's important to balance work and relaxation so you don't get burned out.
Absolutely. After listing your tasks, prioritize them based on their importance and deadlines. Then, allocate specific time slots for each task. For example, you might decide to study for an hour in the morning and then work on a project in the afternoon.
It's also helpful to use tools like planners, calendars, or scheduling apps. These can make it easier to organize your tasks and set reminders.
Yes, technology can be a big help, but remember, the key is to be flexible. Sometimes things don't go as planned, and that's okay. Just adjust your schedule as needed.
Now, let's talk about a common challenge, procrastination. Many people struggle with putting things off. Do you have any tips on how to overcome procrastination, Linda?
Definitely. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is to break tasks into smaller, manageable steps. When a task seems too big, it's easy to put it off, but if you break it down, it feels more achievable.
That makes sense, and setting deadlines for each step can also help keep you on track.
Exactly. Another tip is to use the Pomodoro technique. This involves working for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. After 4 Pomodoro, you take a longer break. This method can help you stay focused and avoid burnout.
I've heard of that technique. It's a great way to stay productive and keep your mind fresh.
Yes, it really helps. Another way to fight procrastination is to identify your biggest distractions and find ways to minimize them. If you are distracted by your phone, for example, Try putting it on silent or using apps that block distracting sites.
Those are great suggestions, and sometimes just starting a task can help. Once you get going, it's easier to keep going.
Exactly. Starting is often the hardest part. Once you begin, you might find that the task isn't as difficult as you thought.
Finally, let's talk about some tips for staying on track with your goals and schedule. One important tip is to regularly review your progress. Check in on your goals and schedule to see if you're on track or if you need to make any adjustments.
Yes, regular reviews help you stay accountable and make sure you're making progress. It's also important to celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. Recognizing your progress can keep you motivated.
That's a good point, Linda, and remember, time management is a skill that takes practice. Be patient with yourself and keep improving your strategies as you go.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to seek support if you need it. Sometimes talking to a friend or mentor can provide new insights and motivation.
To sum up, in the final, we've talked about creating a schedule, overcoming procrastination, and staying on track with your goals.
We hope these tips help you manage your time better and achieve your goals. Thanks for joining us throughout this time management series.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out.
And one lasting thing, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this podcast with anyone who might find it helpful. And remember, good time management can make a big difference in your life.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye for now.